Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a full review to do for you. This is the Pena Knives Caballero. I think that's how you say it. This is in on loan from my good buddy Colin Mason-Pierre over at CM Knife Designs, also part of Divo Knives with myself. And he was like, yo, dude, you got to check this thing out. Have you tried one yet? I'll send you mine to review. And I was like, all right, sweet. So he sent it over. I've had it for, I don't know, a week, 10 days, something like that. I've had it for a good while. I've been carrying it on and off. I carried it today in preparation for this review. And short story is, I really like this knife. I have one gripe with it, but I think it's more of a QC thing than it is anything else. So, yeah, let's get into it. Aesthetics. So this is a little guy. This is a very small knife. It kind of reminds me of sort of a mini Mula or something. So I have the Runt 5 here from ProTech. See that next to it right there. So it's not quite that small, which is pretty small if you ask me. And then you have the Nimble here from LeftyEDC. And that's going to be a little bit bigger. So it's right in between those two. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. We can grab the ruler and take a look at it as well. So let's see, handy dandy ruler. Shout out to Knife Pivot Lube for sending this over. You can pick this up on their website with my code LeftyEDC. So right about here is the blade, we'll say. So you're looking at 2.75 inches of blade. Maybe slightly more than that, and you're looking at less than that on the cutting edge. So 2.5, maybe a little bit more than 2.5 inches of cutting edge. And then you have, I mean, can we get the overall here? I mean, we're close to overall at 6 inches there, right? 6 inches is right there. So let's see. I mean, we're looking at about 6.5 inches overall on this guy. So not very big. I did measure the thickness earlier today, and it's at about 0.54 with the inlay, and then if you go just on the scale, it's about 0.47, I think it was. So it kind of feels like a knife with contouring, honestly, because you have that thicker scale, but then you have parts that aren't. And it just overall, it doesn't feel like a thickish knife, but it technically is rather thick for such a small knife. It's interesting. This is going to be an M390 steel, as is everything Pena does ever, unless it's a Damasteel Cranes Cutlery exclusive, which reminds me, when I got this, I was like, ooh, I want one of these. And I actually went hunting one. I wanted one in marbled carbon fiber or fat carbon. And the only place I could find them was Cranes Cutlery, and they were in fat carbons, but they had Damasteel blades, and they were like $400. And I don't know, I just can't do that. I don't need the Damasteel blade. I just don't really love Damasteel after that Jaeger I had, so I passed on that. And then Pena had some in, I think, green micarta. It might have been this brown. The black was sold out. And he has not dropped marbled carbon fiber. Usually he does, so maybe that'll be coming, and I will probably try to get one if he does. But it is very similar to another knife I truly and dearly love, so I might just pass because it is similar to my Burger Urban here. You can see there, the Urban is a little bit bigger, not in the handle, but in the blade. So let me just shift that to the proper, there you go. So Trevor Burger has this ability to fit so much blade into a handle without you being able to grab that tip. Like, just can't grab it, but it looks like you should be able to. And so you get a good amount of blade in the handle size you get. Man, I just love this Trevor Burger Urban. And I think it's close enough in size that, like, I don't really need to go hunting down the Caballero, especially since the thickness is better on the Urban. It's probably about the same if you take away the inlay. It's still a little bit thinner. And of course, you have that Trevor Burger detent, you have that Trevor Burger action. It's just nothing. There's nothing that knife does better. So there's no point in me getting it, right? Because I have this. I know my brain's weird. But this knife is fantastic. I'm just saying, you know, and this is I paid $650 for this, so, you know, it's double the price as well. So you keep that in mind. I actually just paid the remainder of my pre-order for the XL version, so I'm excited to get that one. But anyway, let's talk about it. So aesthetically, I think it's sexy. It's got that nice drop point blade. You got that beautiful swedge up on the blade. You got that belt satin. One thing that really bugs me on Pena's in general is he does not do hollow grinds. I think there was one that he did a hollow grind on, and I loved that one. It might have been the Lanny's clip. I'm not sure. I can't remember. If he did hollow grinds on these, it would be just phenomenal. But I guess I don't know why he doesn't, because these are not heavy-duty type knives. Like that Bravo he did would have been such a good knife with a hollow grind, but it wasn't. And if you look at the Burger Urban with this full hollow grind, I mean, it just changes the knife to being, it's just an amazing knife because of that hollow grind. There's multiple reasons. I mean, I can reverse flick it. That's another benefit this has that doesn't, but it's going to cut better for my uses because of that hollow grind, right? And here you have not thick stock at all, right? But it's a flat grind, and I don't know, I just think it should be a hollow grind. I know I'm just beating a dead horse here, so I apologize. But anyway, aesthetically, it looks really good. I love the bolster lock. I don't love inlays that sit on top of scales. It's not my thing. The only time I really like it is on this Jaeger M, but even then, I don't necessarily love it. But I do accept it, and I think it's cool. And it looks really good when you're talking about some kind of carbon fiber, because then you see those sort of end cut pieces of it, right? But this is just micarta, and to me, you just see like the shredded, just ugly shit on the side. I really don't get it. I had a Jaeger in micarta, and that's what I felt like. I was just like, it should have just been flush, right? I don't know. It just doesn't look that good to me, personally. You have the Pena clip that's pretty much on all the Penas. This one works really well. You have the pivot and pivot collar, just like a tie pivot collar, which is kind of nice. And then you have the front flipper, which is done really well. You guys know my biggest gripe with Pena's jimping is it chews up my skin and leaves it behind, and I eventually have to clean it out or it gets smooth. And that's going to be the case on this one over time, of course, as well. But I think it's a good little package. It doesn't weigh a ton or anything. I feel like it's just a cool, I think it's just a cool knife. Yeah. I like how the relief cut is kind of hidden by the inlay. And then ergos are really good. For a small knife like this, I can fit all 4 fingers on because you have this flat right here, and I can get a good grip on her. I really do enjoy the ergos in this. You can get into a pinch grip really nicely, grip right here, and get up onto that blade and go into a cutting motion. Disengaging the lock is just very comfortable as well. Left-handed, right-handed, same thing. Kind of just get in there. It doesn't have the best access, but it just kind of works. Honestly, it just works really well. So I don't have any issues with that. So the ergos are good. I don't have any complaints or anything. Like I said, it feels a little bit thick, but in hand, honestly, it's fine. It's just, you know, again, I think having those inlays be flush would have been nice. There's no milling underneath, so you don't have any internal milling. So having those flush scales would have been nice. It would have taken away some weight. I think it would have been a good overall choice, but hey, what are you going to do? Cutting. So here's the rub on this knife. There's something up with the edge. I don't know if I went over this in the unboxing, but the one side just feels rough. And it seems like, my guess is that, and I talked to Colin today, I didn't know until today, he had not used this. So he had not cut anything with this knife before he sent it to me. He got it like a week before he sent it to me. So if you cut this way, right? It doesn't want to cut so well. Now, I'm left-handed, so this is hard for me to do, but if you were good at it, you see how it kind of wants to bite a little bit? There you go. So, again, that's me being left-handed, but it actually cuts a little bit going that way. So what my theory is, and you can kind of see the edge there, it's got a little bit of a shimmer to it there, and then on this side, there's nothing, right? And my theory is that at the factory, this is a QC issue, they went up to whatever grit and they forgot to hit it on one side. So they were belt sharpening it or whatever, and they went up to whatever the highest grit is, and they got one side, and then they never hit the other side. And it's either that or there's some kind of a burr. But I tried stropping this, and that's really all I tried to do. And it didn't, it didn't take any burrs off or anything. I am not an expert on sharpening or edges or anything, so you guys can tell me if you see anything. But it feels clean on one side, and it feels super gritty on the other. And the way I know that is because I took the strop, and when I go like this, it just glides. But when I go like this, it really drags. Hear that? Nothing. Drag. Nothing. Drag. So that's how I can tell something's going on there. It still cuts. It's just not great. So I'm thinking if you have a sharpening stone or something like that, if you probably hit this on a ceramic for a second, it probably would take care of it. I think I might still have my Spyderco Sharp Maker somewhere. I'm not sure. I bought that TS Prof, but then I sold it to Backpack B because I never used it, and I had put away my Sharp Maker, so I don't know. I have to look, see if I still have the stones, but essentially that's what's going on with the edge. So I didn't get a chance to really use it too much. I cut some paper. I did open some packages, and I cut some shipping labels out today. And it did a really good job at that because of the size of the knife and the drop point. I can get down to that tip really easily and get good control. So I actually really enjoyed cutting those shipping labels out with this today. But I didn't do like heavy use or anything. You guys know the deal by now. But I will say for an EDC, I think this would be 100% good to go. But I do wish it was a hollow grind, because even with the flat grind and the not super thick stock, it feels pretty thick, man. It feels really thick down here. Maybe there is a burr. I feel something. It feels super thick down by the edge. So I just think these Penas could benefit from a thinner blade, a thinner edge, and I don't know why they don't do it. I'd love to hear the theory on that. I don't know if it's meant to be a better work knife or something, but like, this is a tiny little front flipper gentleman's type knife. Give me a hollow grind or thinner stock. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. But those are my thoughts on cutting. Carry, I really enjoyed. So I carried this in my front right pocket today. I'm wearing shorts today that I don't have many pockets. And in order to carry this knife, I have to actually switch things around. So I move my flashlight, move my CWF Micro Arcadian, this beauty right here in Zerk, move that over to my front left pocket, and I threw this in my front right. And that's how I carried it today, and it carried really good. The clip went in and out. They're very thin shorts, so I didn't think there would be a problem or anything, but that's kind of how I went about it. And yeah, it's fine. It's not heavy. It's not too thick in the pocket, not too long in the pocket. Doesn't shift around. I don't have any issues with it. I think the carry is really good. Nothing catches or anything coming in or out of the pocket because that relief cut's kind of covered up. So I think the clip works really well on this guy. Sounds. I think the sounds are good. I give them a 7 or 8 out of 10. No major issues or anything, so I think it's good. Action / fidget factor. So, yeah, this thing's sweet, guys. Now, I do wish it had that urban, the ability to be reverse flick like a Trevor Burger Urban, but I get it. The handle or the blade is tucked into the handle a bit more. I like that aesthetic. I think that looks good. You have this front flipper that does chew your finger up. Again, that jimping, it's a Pena thing. They rely on the jimping heavily to do the work, right? So what happens is, because of that, the jimping tears at your fingers, and it eventually does get a little bit annoying, does get a little bit raw, but it's not the end of the world or anything. The front flipper is done really well. You can see it goes up and around, and then you get a few jumps up and around, and it's very sharp. I mean, it is very sharp. It's almost like serrations, the way they do this jimping, so it catches your finger like really well. I mean, it feels like Trevor Burger jimping. Really well done there. You cannot do the rollback move, at least I cannot, because it really hurts. It really hurts. I've tried it. You can see there. Not a good idea, but you can do the index pull. The D10 itself is not super stiff or anything, but again, the way the jimping is and everything, it feels a little bit stronger than I think it is, because you'll see sometimes it'll double bounce when I close it like that. So it's not super strong or anything. But again, because of that jimping and the angle of everything, it just pops really well. It has a really good pop to it, very crisp. I do enjoy that. And again, you can do the reach around. If you're not an idiot, you can reach around. And it works really well, surprisingly well. So for a small knife like this, it's nice to be able to do that. If I take the burger out, that's a little bit harder to do. I don't do that move very often. Now that I'm doing it, I'm realizing it's super easy. So, but I don't ever do that move with this knife. So you can do it. There you go. Never mind. But I wouldn't want to do it with a knife much bigger than this, just because I like, when you're doing that index move, you want to kind of dangle the knife, right? You just want to have it dangling down, reach, and then you can whip and get out of the way. When the knife gets too big, it becomes hard to get out of the way, and then like the blade will hit you in the finger or something. But anyway, it works really well. And then on the closing action, you have a really good drop to your nail, smooth shakedown. I've had no issue. I think my finger was on the lock bar there. No issues. I haven't really thought about the action being too tight or anything. I mean, it's not like a guillotine or anything, but it just works really well because of the size of the knife. It shakes down really well. I enjoy it very much. Left-handed works just as well. You don't really need the clip. I've just learned how to use front flippers without a clip very well, and shake it down, no problem. So I think the action's really good. The centering is dead on. No issues at all, guys. I think it's fantastic. So overall, I really like this knife. Other than those little things like the edge not being sharpened properly, I would say, from factory. Anything else I want to note? Take a look at the plunge grind. I know some people care about plunge grinds. It looks like it terminates like right before the edge, so you should be good there. I did test for spine whack, no slippage or anything like that. And you do have a lanyard post here for those 7 folks. You do have your spot there to put your lanyard. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the Pena Caballero. I like the knife a lot. Enough to the point where I was really tempted to try to find one when I first got it. That's kind of the thing with me, guys, is I get a knife like this in on loan or something, and then if I really like it, I go and try and find it and buy my own, right? And if I get past that stage, like I can't find it or, whatever happens, then I'll kind of settle down. I'll be like, okay, do I really need that knife? You have the burger, you don't really need it. And then I kind of am like, okay, yeah. So now I'm not going to get one. But I was very tempted to pick one up. And if I didn't have the burger, I think I would, you know. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I really appreciate Colin for letting me check this out. Much love, dude. And, yeah, I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you later.